Do you ever feel like you're dying when you start running? If so, you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to break down the 5 reasons why this happens and how to overcome them. If you stick around for point number 5, I'm even going to explain the formula professional runners use to let them run longer and make it feel easier while they're doing it. With that said, I'm going to hop right into point number 1, which is you can't start your runs too fast. Just like you would if you're going to the gym, you have to warm into it. If you were going to go bench press, you wouldn't go straight to your maximum weight. You would do a warm-up set with just the bar, and then a warm-up set with some weight, but not your max. And then you get into your working sets. The same is true for running. You don't want to go straight into your race pace or your workout pace, or especially a max sprint without having warmed up first. So even after you've warmed up, don't go straight into it, build into it. I think that really is going to help a lot of beginner runners if you can shift that mindset from, I have to go my full pace the entire time to, wait, no, I can slowly build into it. I can walk, I can do some dynamic stretching, I can get my body ready to go, and then slowly build into it. You can progress throughout your run just so long as you stay in control of your run, of your breathing, of everything there. It's going to feel so much easier than if you start out too hard. Your body says, whoa, I'm not ready for that. And then it really starts to hurt early on in your run. And then you think running's not for me, when in fact, you just started out too fast. So this is going to take us into our second point. The second reason why running can feel so hard is at the start of your run, our cardiovascular system and our aerobic energy systems aren't actually turned all the way on. So this is more specific than point number 1 because we're talking about an oxygen debt here. So right now at rest, I'm just sitting here. I don't require all that much energy. So say I have this much of an energy need. When I start running, I'm going to shift up to here where I'm working way harder, I'm breathing harder, and there's a larger energy demand on my body. Now, our body doesn't immediately go from here to here in terms of energy production. It takes a minute for it to ramp up to get to here. What that means is we have to use our second energy system, which I know I've talked about in a couple of other videos, but we have our aerobic system, which is going to do the vast majority of the energy production for our run, but we have the anaerobic energy system too. That means it's not using oxygen, and our body doesn't particularly like using it. When we use that anaerobic system, it causes more lactic acid to build up. It makes our breathing rate increase so you feel like you can't catch your breath right away. That's because we need to build up to the point where that aerobic energy system is turned on all the way so it can produce all the energy. That's why if you ever run, you stop for a minute or two, you see someone, you're talking to them, and then you continue on with your run, it doesn't feel as hard as when you start your run. Again, just like point number 1, the easiest way to overcome this is start easy. So if this is our race pace, speed, energy demand, if we go from rest to a fast walk to some drills and then to our race pace, you can see it just lets the body turn those systems on, start producing energy aerobically. And it makes life just so much easier. You don't have that really hard fatigue feeling in that first couple of minutes. It doesn't take super long to turn on. You just have to give it a little bit of time. And the cool thing is, as you get more developed, our entire cardiovascular system gets more efficient. You get better at breathing in oxygen and transporting it to the muscles, but it also turns on faster as you get more developed. The last thing on point number 2 that I think just adds some context maybe for some newer runners is you see someone really fit, they start running immediately when they get out to start their body moving. That's because they've been running for a long time and it's likely well below their maximum speed. So it's the same idea. They're going from an easier pace and going to build into their faster pace. If you're a newer runner, you do the same concept. Just start with an easy to moderate walk and then build into your actual run. So the first couple minutes of your run being hard isn't really like a willpower issue. It really is just that your body can't deliver enough oxygen to your muscles yet to produce the energy you need to run. If you give it a little bit of time, it'll get there though. And on the flip side, from the cardiovascular system, we're going to go to the muscles. And point number 3 is that we need to increase our muscular endurance. At a base level, muscular endurance is really just your body's ability to make a contraction repeatedly over a long period of time. That's exactly what running is. Every step you take, muscles are contracting to help push you along. So we need to get our muscles used to doing that again and again. That takes time. If you're brand new to running, it's going to feel really, really hard, but what's cool is your body adapts pretty quickly. If you can give yourself a couple of weeks to a couple of months, you'll see huge improvements in your muscular endurance. When you're an experienced runner, that's when you see people really spending more time in the gym so they can strengthen all their muscles, their glutes, hamstrings, quads, calves, feet. All of those pieces get stronger individually. Then when you go into running as a whole system, it makes you even stronger in your runs because each one of those individual muscles is stronger and it makes the whole unit stronger as well. So if your legs feel really heavy as a new runner, that's because it's just going to take time. If you can sit with that idea and be okay with it taking time to get better and develop, that's going to be a huge win. I think there's this really big expectation that when you're running, you have to be running the entire time. And I think that's just such a misconception. I believe that so much that I made an entire video based around the idea that walking isn't cheating. You can check it out right here. But if you give yourself time, you'll be able to go an entire run without stopping. But even myself, if I start working too hard, I have no shame in coming down to a walk for a minute or 2 or 4 so I can get myself back in check and then get back into rhythm running. The other day, I didn't feel great on my run. I started working a little too hard. I took 3 minutes continuous of just walking, got my breathing back in check, got my heart rate down, and then I hopped back into my run. So if you're a new runner, the fix to this is just giving yourself some time and some grace and staying at it. Run a couple times a week for 2 months and you will be amazed at how much you've developed in that time. If you're a more experienced runner, start getting into the gym. Once or twice a week is all I'm asking. Do some squats, some lunges, calf raises, some band work like clamshells, monster walks, things like those. They're going to make a huge difference in your muscular endurance and your ability to keep having those contractions happening again and again throughout your entire run. So again, point 3 is going to relate to the 4th reason why it feels so hard to run sometimes. And that's because we're missing some efficiency in our running stride. So if you are more efficient, that means you can do the same work with less effort. Of course, that sounds excellent to everybody. If you can run the same pace with less effort, your heart rate's going to be lower, your breathing is going to feel easier. The muscles aren't going to have to work as hard to do that same pace. So a couple of the main things that can happen that are going to cause you to be less efficient when you're running are overstriding, so having your foot too far in front of you, striking too far in front with your heel. And heel striking isn't inherently bad. It's when it's overstriding that's causing you to heel strike. That's going to be a braking force. I can put some stuff up on the screen here that shows your heel striking way out in front of you. That's a braking force. Then you have to wait for your hip to come up over top your foot, and then you have to push. Alternatively, if you get your foot right underneath you, you don't have that braking force, so you don't have to overcome the braking force and then push off as hard to continue your pace. So overstriding is one. Being too bouncy is another one. So if you're bouncing up and down, a lot of vertical oscillation, that is force that's not taking us horizontally, which if we're running, that's all we want to do. We want to go horizontal. So if you see yourself bouncing up a bunch, that means some amount of the work that you're doing, some amount of the energy you're expending is being pushed vertically. If we can transition that and be a little more horizontal, if we can keep our head from bouncing up and down like that, it's actually going to make your running more efficient, and it should make it easier for you. And the last one that I see pretty common is being super tense when you're running. If you're really tense, your body is going to be fighting against itself. Running should be rhythmic, it should feel easy, it should feel smooth. If you watch the best runners in the world, a lot of times they just look so easy, so smooth. They finish a run and it's like, were you working hard? And of course they were, but it's because they've become so efficient with their mechanics. It doesn't look hard, it looks quite effortless. So if you feel like your shoulders are bunched up really hard or your arms are really, really tight like this, let's relax. Let's let our shoulders drop down. Let's bring the effort down a couple notches. I think that's one thing that can happen is the harder you're working, the harder you feel like you have to work, when in reality, we need to just stay smooth even if we are working harder. But again, just take it down a notch or two, try and be smooth, add a little swagger to your run, and see how much of a difference it makes for you. So let's be more efficient. Let's try and get our foot landing underneath us. Let's keep our head pretty neutral as we're running along, and don't get overly tight as you're running. Running itself isn't just about the effort you're putting in, it's also about the efficiency of the effort you're using. Our body can make so much energy. There's a limit to how much an individual is able to produce energy-wise. If we can channel it more efficiently, it's going to make your running feel easier and it'll make you faster. And as promised, this is the 5th reason why running can feel really hard. It's not glamorous, but truly, all of the pros do this to make their runs feel easier, and it allows them to run further. And that's really coming down to nutrition, making sure you have enough carbohydrates to burn and making sure you have enough hydration in your body. So our bodies are very flexible. They can work in a big range, but we want to optimize that range as much as we can to make running feel easier. If you are super dehydrated, you're going to have less blood pumping through your body. That's like actually a real thing. We work within a range. If you are well hydrated, it's easier actually for your heart to push blood out to the rest of the body. That makes everything more efficient. So if you are interested, this is actually a well-documented thing. It's called Frank Sterling's Law of the Heart. And basically what it says is the more the heart fills, the more it can pump out. And you can think of it actually kind of like a balloon. If you blow just a little bit of air into the balloon, it doesn't push out very hard. But if you blow it up really big, a lot of air comes out at once. So hopefully that gives you a good visual of it. But we can actually affect how much it pushes out. So the more well hydrated you are, the more blood you have. The more blood you have, that balloon is bigger, and so it pushes out the air or the blood better. That gets more resources to our muscles, and that makes us run better. So that's the hydration side of things. The other side is we need fuel. If you are running a car on empty, it's not going to be very efficient. It's eventually going to stop working. We work kind of the same way. We can get away with more because we have more energy systems than just burning carbohydrates, but it makes a really big difference. There's a reason professional runners are fueling every 30 to 45 minutes throughout their runs. It's because they need it. Now, if you are not running that far yet, that's totally okay. What we need to do is have a little bit of energy going into it. So whatever you want to eat, I also have a video on nutrition also right here. But if you are putting in what you need, it's going to make your run feel better. If you can have some fruit before you go, if you want to experiment with like the goos or the Cliff Blocks of the world, the BPN gels, all those different options are going to give you the energy you need to get through your run. So if you are going more than an hour, it kind of depends on how long the run is when I want to consume the nutrition. But if I'm doing right at an hour and I know it's a little bit more high intensity, I want to have some energy about 15 to 20 minutes into my run. If I'm going out further, I'll actually push it out a little bit further, or I'll try and get 2 gels in throughout my run. At the end of the day, what this means is we can burn the fuel that we are consuming. So we take this goo in, or the Cliff Blocks or candy or whatever you want to eat during your run, whatever can sit on your stomach well. We can take that and turn it into fuel pretty fast. Our bodies are really efficient at burning carbohydrates. We have some stored in our body already, just at all times. It sits in the muscle. It's called glycogen. That's actually really what we use. But we can use the carbs that we bring in, the sugars we bring in, to burn really fast alongside that, so we don't bonk, if you've heard that term, where you just completely run out of energy. Now, I know this as well as anybody. I know the ideas, I know the concepts, and yet I still mess up sometimes. Earlier this week, I was on a run. I was planning on going, I think, 6 miles. I had just worked an entire work shift, 8 hours. I hadn't eaten enough. I didn't have any gels on me, which mistake number one. But I got into my run like 2.5 miles in. I was absolutely gassed already, which isn't a great sign. So we packed up for the day. I got 2.5 miles in. I said, we're turning this around. Got back to my car at like 4 miles, maybe, because I was on a trail that I could loop around on. And I was just absolutely done for the day. Alternatively, I went and did a workout that was 8 miles with some pretty fast intervals, dipping under 6 minute pace. And I had enough fluid, I had enough carbs, and I had enough salt, which is a thing that you can start thinking about as you start going further. But I had enough of all the resources I need, and I felt awesome from my workout. I even had some caffeine in there, and it made the workout so much easier. I felt great. I hit all the times I wanted to hit. And yes, there's individual variation from day to day, but it's pretty evident. If you are well fueled, you will feel way better for your run than if you are underfueled and underhydrated. So be like a professional athlete. Give yourself all the resources you need to make your running actually feel good, and you will enjoy it more. Those are the 5 big reasons why running is so tough when you're getting started with it. If you have questions, by all means, drop them below. If you made it this far, I always reserve the ask for the end. Give me a like or a subscribe if this has been helpful for you. If you're a beginner runner, I've got an entire playlist built out here that's going to go over so many of the basic things that are going to make your running feel better. If you want to see the next video in this series, take a look right here. Until then, I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.